the morning sun spilled golden rays across the manicured lawns of Crestview Estates, a neighborhood renowned for its exclusivity and opulence. Michael Carter, a 36-year-old entrepreneur, stepped out of his sleek black sedan, brushing invisible specks of dust off his tailored navy suit. His polished black shoes gleamed as he walked, instilling the confidence that years of dedication and hard work had instilled in him. The mansion before him was a breathtaking spectacle of modern architecture, its clean, sharp lines blended harmoniously with the lush greenery surrounding it. Expansive glass walls hinted at a world of light-filled spaces within, while the scent of freshly mowed grass filled the air. This wasn't just a house. It was a sanctuary where he envisioned hosting family gatherings, brainstorming innovative ideas, and perhaps someday raising a family. He took a moment to breathe in the crisp air, gathering his thoughts. Buying this home wasn't just about luxury. It symbolized how far he had come, from the cramped apartment in a rough neighborhood where he had grown up to this serene oasis. Michael had scheduled a private tour with a prestigious real estate agency known for catering to affluent clients. He adjusted his tie, steeling himself for the meeting. The front door opened, and an older man with salt and pepper hair stepped out. Clad in a perfectly pressed gray suit, Richard Hamilton, the real estate agent, was the embodiment of old-school professionalism. His piercing blue eyes scanned Michael from head to toe, and for a fleeting moment his expression betrayed a flicker of skepticism. "Mr. Carter, I presume?" Richard asked, his tone polished but cold. Michael extended his hand with a warm smile. "That's right. It's a pleasure to meet you, Mr. Hamilton." The handshake that followed was brief and impersonal. Michael felt the subtle undercurrent of disdain, but chose to ignore it. He was here to buy a house, not to make friends. "Shall we begin?" Richard asked, holding the door open just wide enough for Michael to enter. Inside, the mansion was even more stunning than Michael had imagined. The grand foyer boasted soaring ceilings and an intricate chandelier that scattered light like diamonds. As you can see, it's quite extravagant, perhaps a bit much for some tastes. Michael ran his fingers along the polished banister of the sweeping staircase, admiring its craftsmanship. "Extravagant, yes, but beautiful nonetheless," he replied evenly, unwilling to let the comment deter him. Richard led the way into the living room, a vast space with floor-to-ceiling windows offering an uninterrupted view of the city skyline. Michael's breath caught for a moment, but before he could comment, Richard interrupted. "This space might feel overwhelming for those not accustomed to such open layouts," he said, his tone laced with condescension. Michael smiled tightly. "I think it's perfect for hosting events. I enjoy having friends and colleagues over." They moved on to the kitchen, where Richard pointed out the high-end European appliances with a casual wave. "These are top of the line, of course, quite complex to use if you're unfamiliar with such brands." Michael resisted the urge to roll his eyes. "I'm a bit of a cooking enthusiast. I've been wanting a kitchen that inspires creativity." Richard's brows rose slightly, as though the idea surprised him. He quickly masked it with a faint smirk and continued the tour. In the master bedroom, Richard opened the walk-in closet, his tone dripping with sarcasm. "This might be too much storage, unless you have a particularly extensive wardrobe." Michael's jaw tightened, but he kept his voice level. "I appreciate having the space. Organization is important to me." As they toured the backyard, with its infinity pool and meticulously landscaped gardens, Richard's comments grew more pointed. "You'll find that maintaining a property like this requires a significant investment, not just in money but in effort. It's not for everyone." Michael stopped and turned to Richard, locking eyes with him for the first time since the tour began. "Mr. Hamilton, I assure you, I'm well aware of the responsibilities that come with home ownership. Let's continue." Richard's face flushed slightly, but he nodded and resumed the tour. When they reached the home theater, Michael's patience was wearing thin. Richard gestured to the plush seating and advanced sound system. "This setup is for serious movie buffs. It might be a bit excessive." Michael folded his arms. Actually, I've always wanted a space like this to unwind. It's one of the reasons this property caught my eye. The thinly veiled Barbs didn't stop. Richard questioned Michael's taste in wine when they toured the cellar, and even made a comment about the art collection displayed on the walls. "Fine art is an acquired taste," he said, glancing at Michael as though expecting him to disagree. Finally, they stood in the driveway. Richard clasped his hands behind his back, his smile thin. "Well, Mr. Carter, that concludes the tour. I must say, this property is quite a leap for most people. It takes a certain, lifestyle to truly belong here." Michael looked at the house one last time, his heart set. He turned to Richard and said, "Thank you for your time, Mr. Hamilton. I'll be in touch soon." As he walked to his car, Richard's dismissive attitude replayed in his mind. He had faced such prejudices before, but this felt particularly galling. Michael drove away, determination burning in his chest. 2 weeks later, Michael returned to Crestview Estates. This time he wasn't alone. He had brought along his lawyer, a financial advisor, and a different real estate agent, a sharp, no-nonsense woman named Clara, who had treated him with nothing but respect. Michael stood on the same driveway, watching as Richard's jaw dropped when he stepped out of the car. Clara handed him a thick folder. "We're here to finalize the purchase," she said briskly. Richard's eyes widened as he realized Michael was buying the house, paying in full, no less. Michael turned to Richard, his voice calm but firm. "It seems I've acquired the lifestyle you mentioned. Thank you for showing me what not to look for in a real estate agent." With that, Michael walked into his new home, head held high, knowing he had not only achieved his dream, but had also proven once again that determination and dignity were his greatest assets. Subscribe to True Journey for more content you love.